are very much hurt by the unnecessary act of character assassination against an upright officer from Northeast.
Expectedly, the BJP slammed Arvind Kejriwal.
Mr. Kejriwal should be given a photostat copy of Section 239AA. He is not a full-fledged Chief Minister.
After Omar Abdullah yesterday, there was more sympathy and support for Kejriwal's position.
चीफ सेक्रेटरी को चुनने का अधिकार मुख्यमंत्री का होना चाहिए.
हमारी सॉलिडरिटी आम आदमी पार्टी के नेता और मुख्यमंत्री श्री केजरीवाल के साथ.
गवर्नर की पद का अपनी एक गरिमा है, उस गरिमा को मेंटेन करके वो चलेंगे तो चलिए.
Lieutenant Governor Najib Jung has already reiterated that he has acted within the provision of the constitution. He is also expected to send a detailed reply to Kejriwal's charges. And with both Lieutenant Governor Najib Jung and Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal standing firm, any reconciliation is unlikely. Will President Pranab Mukherjee then interpret the rule book for the warring sides? In New Delhi, Rupashri Nanda.
Is this then a battle of egos? That's the question we're asking. Joining us on this panel, Subramaniam Swamy, the BJP, H.S. Phoolka, spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party, and S.K. Sharma, former Secretary of the Lok Sabha and the Delhi Assembly. Good evening to all of you. Dr. Swamy, if I could come to you first. Who should appoint the Chief Secretary? Is the Lieutenant Governor's directive to appoint Gamlin unconstitutional?
Well, you see, under the Constitution there is something called transaction of business, which frames rules for the Delhi administration. In the case of the central government is Article 77. In the case of Delhi it is 239AA. Now Rule 45 has made it very clear in that the Lieutenant Governor makes all these appointments. He is the one in charge of public order, police, and also the civil service. And it also says unless the rule is amended to permit consultation with the Chief Minister. It doesn't say the file should come via the Chief Minister. I don't see any part of the Constitution or the rules framed under the Constitution which allows the Chief Minister to exercise the authority on who should be Chief Secretary or even handle the police or public order, or he has made one extra request which is mysterious. Okay. He wants the control of the DDA also. And the land allotment.
Sir, I'm sorry, when you say the Lieutenant Governor is in charge of all this, when the Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia specifically says in a letter he seeks an appointment of Parimal Rai and not Gamlin, what prevented the Lieutenant Governor from doing that? Don't they act in consultation?
There is no provision in there is no provision in the transaction of business rules, section 40, rule 45, where there is a provision for consultation. That is, if the President had amended it, the President has the power to amend the rule, then there could have been consultations. But there is no provision. And this is, after all, there is a Chief Secretary, he has gone on leave, so an acting Chief Secretary had to be appointed. And there is no way in which Mr. Kejriwal's power extends to deciding who should be Chief Secretary or acting Chief Secretary.
H.S. Phoolka, you're a senior lawyer, you'd understand this better than most others. Isn't Arvind Kejriwal, the Chief Minister of Delhi, violating the Delhi NCT Act, which clearly puts limitations on the state government?
Not at all. With due respect, I do not agree with Mr. Swamy. The difference in the Lieutenant Governor's powers and the power of a Governor of a state are, one is reserve subject, those are the three subjects: police, land and law and order. On these three subjects, the Delhi Assembly does not have the power to legislate. They are the reserve subject. The Lieutenant Governor's word would be final as far as these three reserve subjects is concerned. Now, the second category is those matters which are under any law kept as in the discretion of the governor, and all other things apart from these two, that is the Lieutenant Governor has to act on the aid and advice of the Council of the Ministers. Now, this 239AA of the Constitution, this is the article which creates the Delhi government, that came an interpretation before the Delhi High Court.
Right.
This is a divisional bench judgment of Delhi High Court in the case of Om Prakash Pawa of 1998, and judgment makes it very clear. And now if you permit me, I would read 3 paras of this judgment which
No, I'm afraid 3 paras will be too long, but just try to make the point you're making.
Let me just tell you. Para 67 talks of phraseology implied in Article 239AA. Now I skip it. Deserves to be compared with that implied in Article 163. So that is 239AA is compared with 163, which is the governor of the state. Now next.
No, let's keep the layperson in mind, sir. Mr. Phoolka, what you're trying to say basically is it's subject to interpretation.
10 seconds, Palki. Just 10 seconds.
Okay.
To put it briefly, the governor of the state may do at his discretion must be so provided by the constitution. That means for the governor of the state, it should be provided in the constitution that he should do at his discretion. Okay. Now what the lieutenant governor of the Delhi may do at his discretion may be provided under any law and not under constitution only. So that is the only distinction.
Okay.
And all other subjects in para 75, the High Court clearly says the lieutenant governor cannot run a parallel administration.
Okay.
So services is the subject which is purely within the Delhi Legislative Assembly, within the power of the Delhi government, and the lieutenant governor has to act on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers.
All right. Mr. Sharma, they're both very senior lawyers, and this could go on and on. They'll throw these this legal jargon at us. But you tell me, who's in the wrong here?
See, the difference of opinion between Chief Minister and the Lieutenant Governor is not with regard to the appointment of acting Chief Secretary only. The difference of opinion is on some other matters also. For instance, there are certain subjects which are reserved, which Mr. Phoolka has just now mentioned. 1, 2 and 18 entry of the state list, which means land, police and law and order. The Chief Minister wants, this is a reserved subject, exclusively for the Lieutenant Governor.
Yes.
This subject is out of the purview of the Delhi Assembly. But Chief Minister wants that files pertaining to these matters must also be shown to him.
Yes.
Number 1.
Yes.
Second difference of opinion is with regard to the transferred subject. The subjects which are within the domain of the Legislative Assembly or Delhi government. On these subjects, Lieutenant Governor should consult the Chief Minister. But the Chief Minister says no file should go to Lieutenant Governor.
Yes.
And the final disposal should be at his level. So these are 2 major points of difference. Third one has cropped up just now.
Yes.
Now, as regards the difference of opinion, the Constitution of India itself provides an answer. That in the event of difference of opinion between Lieutenant Governor and the Chief Minister, the Lieutenant Governor shall make a reference to the President, whose decision shall be final and binding.
Okay.
So I think the stage has reached when Lieutenant Governor should seek the opinion of President on all these aspects, including services, because services, there is no mention in the Constitution about Union Territory Civil Service.
Right.
Constitution makes a mention of UPSC or State Public Service Commission.
Okay.
So Delhi being a territory of the Union, the employees of Delhi,
there is
they are employees of the Union.
Gray area you're saying. There is which
Not
the
gray area, it is a clear area, but because of difference of interpretation, it is but appropriate that Lieutenant Governor should make a reference to the President of India and seek his view.
H.S. Phoolka, what is Kejriwal then trying to do? As Mr. Sharma also said, he's been consistently trying to undermine the LG's position. Just 10 days after taking over as Chief Minister, he said he wrote to Najib Jung saying that files pertaining to police, public order and land be routed through the CMO. Then he said all departments need not bother the office of the LG by sending files to him. What is he trying to do here?
Now you see, that's what Mr. Sharma also pointed out about these reserved subjects. Now as far as the reserved subjects is, the Chief Minister is an elected representative, he can give his opinion. It's for the Lieutenant Governor who is to decide. Lieutenant Governor's decision is final on those subjects, but can't you debar a Chief Minister from even giving his opinion to the Lieutenant Governor? I mean, that is too much. This what saying is. The Chief Minister simply said, that my opinion should be there before the Lieutenant Governor, before taking a decision.
He's also said don't send files to the LG's office. What does that mean?
No. That's what is trying to confuse. Please do not. These are two different separate things. One is the reserve subject. Reserve subjects are three: land, police, and law and order. Now it is the Lieutenant Governor which is the final authority. On the other subject, I say Lieutenant Governor is to act on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. Now that is regarding the other matters,
right,
not regarding the reserve matters. Now please, this is the confusion which is being created. Now number two, now has there been any instance in Delhi, in Pondicherry or anywhere, wherever there is a duty with the government and assembly, that a chief secretary is appointed without the consent of the chief?
Apparently the chief minister was consulted, but no response came from him for 40 hours. That's
no, that's wrong.
Is he lying?
No, that is absolutely no. But you see, Palki, the name of finance secretary was recommended. Principal secretary of finance to be appointed. That is the name was recommended. What you said, that name was not recommended by the Delhi government. The finance secretary, principal finance secretary name Mr. Sahai, his name was recommended that he should be appointed. Then after that, the Lieutenant Governor passes the order and he sends the file directly to the secretary services, bypassing the chief minister, deputy chief minister, minister.
Okay.
And tell him to issue the order directly.
Okay.
And totally bypassing the file.
Dr. Swami,
that is what is creating the problem.
Is the Lieutenant Governor trying to make the democratically elected government ineffective? That's the charge that the Aam Aadmi Party is making.
Well, of course they can make charges. In fact, Mr. Phoolka himself has changed his stand twice in his presentation. First he said, after all, Mr. Kejriwal said the files must go through him. Now he says he should be consulted. Now there is no question of his being consulted when he is not provided for in the transaction of business rules. He can go, let the chief minister go and talk to the president and say make these amendments. Well, I should be consulted at least. There is no provision for consultation also. Let me tell you, Delhi state is not like any other state, including any other union territory. It was created by a special amendment of the constitution, which is 239 and 239 AA, where because there is already a union government here, therefore it became an issue. How can you have another government? But because there was this demand that some of these issues should be handled by some people who are locally elected and they should be in assembly, so something was carved out, and it was carved out by the BJP government when in the early stages. Of course, 1993, it was under the agitation of the BJP government. The first chief ministers were the BJP, Madanlal Khurana, and following that Mr. Verma. All these people it was the BJP idea, but they can't have two governments in Delhi. You can have only one government on important matters, certainly law and order, certainly public order, certainly on land issues. Why does Mr. Kejriwal want land to be made over to him? I am a bit surprised. He should be running away from that given his socialist leanings. But instead that he wants DDA also to be put under him. This is what is the extraordinary part. And in any case, let me tell you, you can't go to a public meeting and call Shakuntala Gamlin as a corrupt person.
Exactly.
Is this the way for a chief minister to behave? Has he got a charge sheet against her? Has he suspended her? What does that mean?
Mr. Phoolka,
this is all part of his Naxal attitude.
Okay.
Mr.
Phoolka, not only saying it in a public meeting, Kejriwal has tweeted that she is quote unquote perceived to be very close to DISCOMs. What does that even mean? You cannot sully reputations without proof. If you have proof, you act against her.
Now, two things. First of all, but Mr. Swami says that I have contradicted. I have not contradicted. The difference is the reserve subject, that is police and law and order and land. It is regarding those that is the other subjects. So it is a distinction which Mr. Swami.
No, I want you to answer how the chief minister of the state.
Number two, please.
Yes.
Please, I am am answering you and also Mr. Swami. Mr. Swami says that why Kejriwal is asking land to be under him. Since 1993, the BJP has been demanding that the land should be under Delhi government. Since 1993, since Badlal Khana government, Sahib Singh Barma government, and even after that, during Sheila Dixit also, BJP has been demanding it, that land should be under the Delhi government. Now another thing, now without proof, now you see the power minister has said that she was lobbying for the discount for the lands, that the 11,000 crore guarantee the government should give. But say the file was recommended and sent by her to the power minister. That is what it is. Now you are talking about why you take action against her then? Why you take action?
No, that is charge sheet her. You suspend her.
Now please.
Civil service rules for that.
There's a difference in suspension and promotion. A person
oral statement of the minister.
Swamiji, a totally different parameter is to be followed for promotion, and the different parameters are to be followed for suspension. And something which is not sufficient to suspend, that may be sufficient to deny promotion. These are the basic parameters.
If you have proof against somebody of wrongdoing, why don't you?
Yeah, but you don't have that power.
No,
you don't have that power.
Now he is talking about, now first Mr. Swami is contradicted.
Where is the transaction of business rules?
Now Swamiji says you don't have power. Now
I never said suspend. I said that is a civil service has rules. You can't suspend.
That's what I am saying.
You have to recommend you have to recommend to the Home Ministry that she should be suspended. If you have any charges of corruption against her.
You see the IAS, for the IAS even in the states also it is the Home Ministry which is the final discipline authority. Well, you know it very well.
That's right.
Even in the Tamil Nadu also IAS is the Home Ministry. Sir, that is right. But at the same time, the parameters to be followed for promotion. For promotion, a person's character and uprightness is to be seen.
Okay.
For suspension, a person's misconduct is to be seen. So these are two entirely different things altogether.
Okay.
Here is an issue of promotion. Its issue is not of suspension or disciplinary action.
I'm sorry, that's not very convincing, but S.K. Sharma, what happens then? If this is taken to the president, will this state then technically be under presidency?
No, I think the stage has come now that the Lieutenant Governor should make a reference to the President of India, drawing his attention to those points on which he differs with the Chief Minister, and seek the opinion of the President of India, whose decision is final and binding as per Constitution. That stage has come to my mind, and he can make a mention of all those 2-3 points. I mean, reserved subject, non-reserved subject, Chief Minister not sending the file, Chief Minister trying to see those files which are outside his jurisdiction. All this, he can make a mention of this to President and seek his opinion. That should rest the matter.
That's what it's come to. So how does it reflect then on a government and a chief minister who sees faults in everyone but themselves? The bureaucracy, they say, is corrupt, the LG is biased, the BJP is scheming, the media is trying to wipe them off. So who do they trust? But I think we'll leave it at that for the moment. H.S. Phoolka, Subramaniam Swami and S.K. Sharma, thank you very much for joining us on this debate. We're taking a break here on India at 9. News and updates continue.